I just got the news that Brent Hinds from Mastodon passed away last night in a motorcycle accident. And
Oh,
it's,
that's awful.
yeah, it's just metal is just really just getting, the 1-2 punch of everything.
Mm,
His former band Mastodon was at the Ozzy final Black Sabbath show, but
hmm
he had already been fired from the band at that point.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's like just out of nowhere comes a
that's too bad.
BMW to his
Uh,
motorcycle.
yeah, I had not heard that. That's awful.
I think it just happened. Like
Mm.
an hour ago, I think the news broke, and I'm just still kind of in shock. I mean, he
Yeah,
was.
I this morning. My kids are both. One's out of college. One is a senior in college, but their high school, which we are still very connected to, had a bomb threat. Had to evacuate the school this morning in Nashville,
Oh my gosh.
and because I haven't had an update, I'm assuming all is well. I had to go out to the Minnesota State Fair for a few hours and hang out with some listeners, and so my day got away from me. But yeah, I just one of those things. It's like, oh, this will turn my stomach for the next hour.
Yeah, I
Terrible.
I think we're all kind of like getting used to it. The news
Yeah.
cycle has been breaking news nonstop, and I know we made fun of the news people for a while because they kept the breaking news Chiron up for damn near everything.
Yeah.
But now I feel like it might as well just live there.
Yeah, no, it's true. I'd be real happy to go back to a time when a news story did last several days so we could examine it and there was
Mhm.
not a rush to get the information first, but instead to get it right. Go figure. Remember those crazy days?
Well, and it used to be that the information you would get first would be Twitter, and it was just 140 characters. You would get the bullet points,
Yeah.
and it was a lot harder to spin in 140 characters.
Yep.
And now it doesn't matter because we've got full video capability instantaneously worldwide, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, our kids, we've had conversations where they're like, so like, we're talking about key moments in life and big things from when we were teenagers. And I remember talking to my kids about the day like Pope John Paul II was shot, if you remember, back in
Mhm.
1980 or 81, and as was Ronald Reagan.
That brought us the Pope
And
Mobile.
and that's right. So the Pope was shot, the President of the United States was shot, and we found out during the school day several hours after both of these events had happened. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like not in 20 seconds,
Yeah.
but like hours had elapsed before word got around. And my kids are just like, really? Like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah. And but guess what? It was okay. It was okay because when we did find out and we did watch the news, they had enough information. We didn't have 24 hours of mindless speculation followed by the next big story.
I think the first time that happened to us, the instant news was the Challenger explosion, right? Because all the kids were watching it in school.
Yeah, I
And
was watching it. I was in college, but I walked into my dorm. I got out of a test early, and I walked through the lobby, and there was a couple guys in front of the dorm, the lobby TV, and it's like they're in the countdown. And I really was like, whatever, another shuttle launch because we'd gotten used to it already. And I thought, well, oh wait, and I remember thinking, oh wait, this is the teacher in space. I'll watch this. Like that's what drew me to it. And so yeah, happened to be watching it, and that was one of those like everybody that came into the dorm over the next hour, like you'd be like, hey man, check this out, and it was just, but yeah, word got around like in a normal pace back then.
I don't know how we're gonna like plan for the future. I've been watching the news entirely too much, obviously. But one of the stories that's kind of big right now internationally is AI syndrome. Have you seen
Mm-hmm.
this?
Mm-hmm.
That people are having difficulty determining AI chatbots from real people. And
Sure, sure.
they are doing things that like there's been a death, like somebody who was admittedly not uh, I think they said he was cognitively impaired. So I don't know what that meant, because who knows what that means anymore. But somehow he had been talking to this flirty chatbot and thought he was in a relationship with it. And
I saw that story.
went
Yeah.
to New York to meet it, I guess. And then somehow had an accident or something and died along the way. And
Yeah.
I was just thinking how recently my nephew, I told him to Google something and he was like, okay, boomer. And I'm all, what? And he's like, I'm like, you don't have Google now? Like the kids don't Google? And he's like, no, everybody's on ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So the younger generation is going to have a much harder time determining what AI is real and what AI is not real in the future.
Well, when you just look at how much Elon Musk is changing Grok in real time, he's changing the way it reports news. It's that it's just that simple. And he's so blatant about it, that it's like, oh, so obviously there's always a hand at the lever. You think AI is this self-manifesting thing with real information, and it is, as long as the people that have put it into operation allow it to be. But they can influence it just as easily as a producer can influence an anchor. Like,
yeah, your AI does not exist in a vacuum.
Yeah, you just hold up someone's paycheck and say, no, this is the party line, dude. You want a job? Say this.
Well,
Same
Grok
thing.
had a massive data leak. So
Oh.
who were on that platform having conversations, apparently a lot of their conversations just went.
Unbelievable.
I'm 100% sure that there's a lot of people out there kind of sweating the things that they may have asked that AI.
I bet.
If you think nobody's watching, you're going to ask, like, just the Google results that we already have, right? People are already Googling, like, how to bury bodies and how to make bombs and,
we were talking on air. We were talking on air about on the morning show a couple months ago. There was a conversation about, it was a guy here in Minnesota, and he killed his wife and covered it up really brilliant. He's a doctor, and he knew what medicine wouldn't show up on the preliminary test, but his wife's family refused to believe. They were like, this is suspicious. And it turned out there was some, it sounded like a bad show on Netflix, but he found some medicine that is used for people that have gout. It's called like Colcatraz or something, and it wouldn't be detected. And he killed his wife with this stuff. And because her family wouldn't let it drop, they finally did a full second autopsy, and they found it was in there. Anyway, long story short, I said, and her life insurance policy was something like $200,000, which is a lot of money, but it's not kill a person money. To me, it's not risk return. You tell me it's 10 million, you're like, well, he thought if he gets away with, whatever the number was, I just thought it was funny. And I'm on air, and I said, well, first things first, do you pay income tax on life insurance? And so I Google it. And as I'm Googling it, I'm like, I probably shouldn't Google this. What if Rosemary's gonna fall down the steps tonight, and they're gonna look at my last Google search, and I'm like, oh no, I didn't mean to.
Your search history is gonna kill you, is gonna get you every time. Yeah, and I mean, let's face it.
But with this AI stuff, it's just, who knows? I mean, if somebody doesn't like you, they can probably plant fake searches into your browser now anyway. Who knows?
That's so easy to do. I mean, you and I both know this, right? Working in radio, in the studio, you share a computer.
Yeah.
I started bringing in my own laptop years ago, but before that, we all shared the same computer. So whenever I would go to type something into that Google search bar, stuff that would come up. And if you know your morning show, like my morning show.
I've always, as long as I've done radio, which is not as long, I mean, it's 15 years. It's long enough now. But from the first day I started, I was like, I'm not going to learn how to log into anything. I have a laptop. I will use wireless. No way. I just was like, I don't, and it's not that I just didn't trust myself. I would do something wrong or stupid, and it's like, no, I know how this works. You have wireless. Stop. I'm not going to deal with that stuff. I couldn't tell you how to log into my Cumulus account if you paid me money. I have no idea. I know how to get my emails, but like logging into a work computer to get access to all the other stuff, not a clue. I'm like, if there's a fire, someone will point it out and tell me to, leave the building. Otherwise, I don't want to know.
You know what that's going to save you from? All the phishing tests.
Oh yeah, no worries here, man. I don't open any email until the people that I report to that are that I'm responsible to, They all know if it's important, text me and say, hey, open this email. And I'll be like, thanks. Because otherwise I'm deleting it.
That's our whole team now, because as you know, people who work in our industry, we don't gel mentally with that corporate mindset. But for people who work in an office, that is their daily lives. You know that, well, you probably don't because you're not logging in, but we have to do Microsoft Authenticator so many times a day now. It's ridiculous. Every browser I log into my email, every couple of days it kicks you out. Every time I'm like, because now we're working from home. So when I log into to access like the stuff that I need to do the station from home, each time that's another login and it's nonstop. Then they hit you with these phishing tests. And that's apparently what daily life is like in an office. And if you fail a phishing test, it's basically a cone of shame, a cone of shame around you, until you have to go and do like the Saturday school version of time for training again, you know, the training that you have to sit through every time. And I'm like, can we just not?
Yeah, no need. Please.
Can we not?
It always comes back to, can we just unplug the World Wide Web, please? Wouldn't it be nice to just be done with the internet once and for all?
I find myself.
You know what? Here's a weird thought I just had. But again, speaking of how different experiences are for people now, my son was a college student when Kobe Bryant died. So this is right before COVID. This is January of 2020. He goes to, my son is at Indiana University. He's at an Indiana basketball game on a Sunday afternoon, a nationally televised game. You know, there's 15,000 people in this arena. Indiana basketball is like a religion there. It's a close game. There's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter and there's a timeout. And everybody in the gym, of course, just checks their phone. And at that moment, Twitter hits Kobe Bryant killed. And the entire arena goes quiet altogether because every other person is looking at this news. The players on both teams, Indiana and Maryland, are in a timeout and they are told. Fans are going, Kobe died, Kobe died. And you got all these players who worship Kobe Bryant. They had to take an extra timeout because all the players are crying their eyes out. There's 2 minutes left in the game and they couldn't even finish the game without being told this just happened.
Oh my
God. And if
God.
you go back and watch, they just like, it was, and my son was like, the crowd is not even cheering. Everyone's just in shock. They come out, they just run up and down the court. No, they clearly don't care who wins. They're all just devastated. This is, you know, to kids of that generation, you know, this is their Michael. It's pre LeBron. I mean, he's the guy. And the game ends, and my son said everybody just walked out in total silence, walking back across campus. It's snowing, and everybody's just staring at their phone. I mean, it's just that idea of, that's one of those things that, you know, they all would have gone home and found out later. But like in the game, but the players on the teams, like that's the part that just killed me. Like there's 2 minutes left. Yeah, there's 2 minutes left, and we couldn't finish a game without all these kids finding out about it. Yeah, it's wild. So it's very strange. I read something a few months ago about the as the human body, like literally just our physiology has evolved over thousands of years. Our brains are nowhere near equipped on the evolutionary scale to handle this much information. Because, you know, 25 years ago, we were right where we're supposed to be. And it's just sped up and sped up and sped up and sped up. And it's just too much. We weren't designed to have just nonstop information slamming our brains. And we're trying to play catch up and we're hopelessly behind.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel so much of that right now.
Yeah, because and then you're dealing with something that causes anxiety, but the only thing worse is if you turn it off. And then your anxiety doubles because now you're unplugged. And it's, you know, it's a real, I mean, it's bad enough that Starbucks made everyone addicted to caffeine. This is a whole nother you know, type of addiction. So thanks to the wonderful men and women of Silicon Valley, we're all a mess.
Aw.
Yeah.
How about Led Zeppelin? Let's talk about something else.
Man, great band. Really good band.
I mean, I've been sitting on so many Led Zeppelin questions. We could do like a half hour. So out of nowhere, remember how like Peter Grant's daughter Helen Grant was selling her share of Led Zeppelin?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, we've entered into an agreement, and that agreement's in escrow, and thanks everyone for participating.
Okay.
And then what was it that happened? There was like a Zeppelin catalyst thing that happened. I can't remember what it was now because, well, as you said, our brains are not meant to hold this much information. And then all of a sudden, Helen Grant popped up again. And it was like, representatives for Helen Grant are accepting offers for her shares of Led Zeppelin. And I was like,
yeah, that one fell off the radar for me. I don't know what's going on.
And then it just quietly disappeared again.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you know, just based on what you always read, you know, Jimmy Page has a team of lawyers at the ready at all time to do whatever he needs done. I was always amazed that a piece of Led Zeppelin got past the idea of someone selling it before he said, "Here, I got it. I'm buying it." You know, I just assumed he would end up buying back any piece of Led Zeppelin that's ever on the block. I would think he would just go back and get it, but I guess not.
Maybe, and I'm just going to speculate here with my little suspicious cap. Maybe there's a right of first refusal, and she kind of has to give him the opportunity, and that this is a tactic to try and like drive up the price by like garnering offers, because it's one of those things where you can take an evaluation on it, but
yeah,
it's hard to get a valuation on something that's so intangible / potential. So
I don't know, man. I just think if you say the words Led Zeppelin and 10% in the same sentence in any context, it's just a whole lot. You know, it's like, holy crap, that's something worth having. I don't know.
Well, they did just settle a lawsuit, right? They had another lawsuit with.
Well, he had one with Jake Holmes, the guy that wrote Dazed and Confused, based on the documentary. The documentary came out, and so Jake Holmes is this folk singer who wrote Dazed and Confused in the 60s. Jimmy heard him play it in a Greenwich Village, in the West Village at a coffee shop or, a folk club, and brought it to the Yardbirds, and they had a version of Dazed and Confused. Then Jimmy starts Led Zeppelin. They obviously have a version they record it, and it said written by Jimmy Page right away. And Jake Holmes is like, dude, I wrote that song. But somehow didn't get Jimmy into court until 2010. But they settled it, and if you look it up now, it says written by Jimmy Page, inspired by Jake Holmes. That's on the credits everywhere you look.
That's the settlement.
But with this new documentary that just came out, at the end credits of the film, they showed some clips of the Yardbirds, not Led Zeppelin, the Yardbirds playing Dazed and Confused, and it credited just Jimmy Page. And it didn't say inspired by Jake Holmes, which it's supposed to. I believe that's just an oversight. But he sued Jimmy again.
Just settled.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it was an oversight on the producers of the film's part. But he sued him again, and they settled it, right away. It's like, God, put his name on it, But it's also true. If you go listen to Jake Holmes' version, Google it sometime. Jake Holmes, Dazed and Confused. There's no argument. It's like, oh, that guy wrote that song. The lyrics aren't the same.
It's not the Stairway to Heaven lawsuit, for example.
No. It's the same. Boom, 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 boom. And I've been dazed and confused so long. I mean, Robert then changed a lot of the lyrics, but the title and the melody and the musical part, it's all the same.
Oh my gosh. So let's see, more Led Zeppelin news I wanted to ask you about. Robert Plant turned down the Back to the Beginning show, the last Black Sabbath show.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it for musical differences, and I'm not mad at him for it. I think it makes
I agree. He said, look, that's not a world I'm a part of. Like, I'm friends with these guys. And he said it would be, I saw the quote, I didn't read it, but he basically was like, it'd be disingenuous for me to show up now and jump onto this thing. The people that need to be there are there. The people that are, that are card carrying members of Ozzy World, they should be there. What am I doing there? I mean, he was right. It's like, he knows who he is, and he's being honest about it. I think there's a lot of people that don't think that clear, they get an invitation, they just jump at whatever it is. And he was like, that's inappropriate. I'm not in that world.
And I think that is just extra highlighted by the fact that Sammy Hagar's performance went down like a fart in church. It was
really?
just, yeah, it was, the whole crowd was kind of like, okay, Sammy. And then he's doing, I think he was doing Flying High again, and he just wasn't hitting it.
Right.
And it just was, it was just mass exodus to the bathrooms and the lines, which were extensive lines everywhere. For everything.
Right. Of course.
You would think a soccer stadium would have streamlined that by now, but nope.
Yeah.
Not
even
for
the rockers.
No. And I think that made sense. I think it sounded like they were trying to, once they committed to making it big, they were trying to make it bigger. And they didn't have Judas Priest, which I think was what they really wanted, but there was no way Judas Priest could change their touring plans. They were going to be somewhere else. They couldn't get out of that show.
Right.
It was just not going to happen. And that would have made the most sense ever.
Yeah.
If they had the other big metal band from Birmingham on site, and it would have just been perfect. And I think they were trying to fill that hole, and they're like, well, Robert Plant is huge, and Sammy Hagar is a big deal. So if we can get a couple of these guys, it'll kind of make up for that.
I mean, Robert would have made sense just because he's from that part of the world, I guess, and he goes back even farther than Black Sabbath. But that's really all. That wouldn't. I mean, I think he made the right choice.
Yeah, if anything, like having him, if he had been there, just been there, and done an introduction or something to say, Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, we existed at the same time in the same something. Just have whatever his thoughts are and introduce Black Sabbath. That would have been cool. But performing, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah. Well, Robert's cool. He always does the smart thing, it seems to me.
Which leads me to Saving Grace. Have you heard the single?
No. How is it?
It's good. It's good. It's just very not Led Zeppelin. Never gonna be.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I don't think that's a problem, but other people are just like still surprised that he's not going to play any Led Zeppelin hits on tour. And
I mean, this is a 45-year conversation now. It's totally bizarre to me. I don't get it. It's like he has never done. He has always said, "I'm doing this now." Like that's back there. And I mean, Led Zeppelin's legacy is in the state it's in because they haven't gone back and messed it up. Like by continuing to, if he does, by continuing to reinterpret the songs he wants to sing, it keeps what they did that special. I mean, I think look at look, nothing against the Who, one of the great bands of all time, but look at the way they're perceived. Look at the way Led Zeppelin's perceived. What's the difference? One of them just kept going. I mean, if the Who had said, "How do you replace Keith Moon? You don't. We're finished," they would be looked at in the exact same way Led Zeppelin is, which is they're just sitting on Mount Olympus. Nobody can ever do it like that again. And I'm not saying they should have necessarily. I'm just saying had they done that, that's what would be the case. And now instead of that, you've got them, they're on tour right now. They're starting songs and have to stop because they have technical difficulties. And Roger's admitting, I can't sing anymore. And I mean, it's just like, and they've not really been the Who for a really long time. They have every right to tour. I'm not telling them. I'm just saying the difference. If Jimmy Page had his way, Led Zeppelin would have reformed after Live Aid, and I think it would have hurt the brand. They would have sold tickets. Everybody would still go, but they're still the same way with the Beatles. Led Zeppelin and the Beatles are just forever going to be magic because they never went back in and messed it up. And whether they regret that or not, but that's just from a fan's perspective.
If 1985 Led Zeppelin had sounded like The Firm, it would have it would have been the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything about it.
And again, like I would never in a million years begrudge Lynyrd Skynyrd for reforming 10 years after the plane crash. But just imagine if they hadn't. What if they hadn't turned into a Lynyrd Skynyrd jukebox for 40 years? It'd be like, oh my God, one of the greatest bands of all time. They only had a 6-year run or 4-year run. Can you believe this? And instead you have far more people that have seen this version of Leonard Skinner, that, every year it was one less original member until finally now there's no one there. And again, great, go make a living, go play those songs. People still turn up, they want to hear it. But just in terms of how a band can be viewed, it speaks to how much the fact that people still want Robert Plant to be, it's Page Plant was only a few years and it was different. They weren't giving people what they wanted. They were making it a little more difficult. And because of that, people still want him to. And I just think he's got the tiger by the tail. It's his world. He just does what he wants when he wants, and got more power to him.
I think these days fans are lucky. If you're a Led Zeppelin fan and you're going to a Robert Plant show to see Led Zeppelin songs, you're lucky you're going to get any of them. He still throws a few out there for you, because I think that's his compromise. I think if
he does radically different arrangements. Usually, he'll do them very stripped down, and he's clearly a guy who he just loves music. I mean, I remember in the early '80s he was hosting 120 Minutes on MTV, the indie rock show on Sunday nights. It would be like. And he's talking about bands like Let's Active and the Dream Syndicate and all these underground bands that he's listening to and playing their videos. And it was like, man, he's not Percy anymore. He's just a dude that likes new music. And it's that simple.
So about the Who, you were mentioning Roger Daltrey. He has got a litany of medical maladies that he's talking about now, right? He's got some severe macular degeneration to where he's going blind. He's got the same hearing problems that everyone of his generation has because of the volume and extended noise. He's apparently also got complications from meningitis that are making it hard for him to stay hydrated, and he gets overheated too easily, which I think is the same thing, not the same thing, but is also why Steve Miller is not going to be touring in the summer anymore. He had like a weird statement where he was like, "It's the weather. I can't do it. It's climate change. Forget it." But one of his guys came out later and was like, he can't handle the heat. He's passing out. You can't just do these summer tours outdoors and expect, the people who are pushing 80 to not get overheated and perform. Yeah. And we're in that place now. And the Who are doing their final farewell tour, which it sounds like will actually be the final farewell tour. Yeah. But also, Pete Townsend just announced that he's got 140 songs ready to go. And as soon as this farewell tour is over, he's back out on a solo tour.
I tell you what, man, that's I think those guys, it's like owning a professional sports team, right? Like the Minnesota Twins. The family that owns the Twins, they announced last year we're going to sell the team, and everybody here celebrated. Oh my God! Thank God, they're cheap. They won't pay for talent. Let's get rid of them. They haven't won a World Series since 1991. Get rid of these guys. And this is a team that 2 years ago was in the playoffs, and this year they're the third worst team in baseball, and their record's terrible. They sold all their best players. It's crazy. And so, people, like last year, somebody in the stadium had a sign saying "sell the team," and he was removed from the stadium, and they said, "You're banned from here. You can never come back." It's like crazy stuff like that. Wow. And so every time that happens, the more fans just get angrier and angrier. So they've been taking offers to sell the team throughout this whole season. At the All-Star break, the Major League Baseball commissioner said a deal is very close to happening. And then 2 weeks ago, they announced, actually, we're not selling the team. We love the passion. We're committed to giving you a winner. And Twins fans just lost their minds. Like, it's been this 10 months of waiting for the announcement so we can celebrate, and then now they're not leaving. And I think it's just as simple as, people like, what do they need the team for? They're billionaires. Like, they have all the money in the world. But once they sell the team, they're just rich people in a world full of rich people. In the world they run in, everybody's rich. What do they have? They have a baseball team. not every billionaire has a baseball team. Most billionaires don't have a sports franchise. You think those guys that own the Golden State Warriors care about their money, or do they care about being the owner of the Warriors? That's something that Mark Zuckerberg can't say he has. You know what I mean? It's like,
Joey can't say he's got a team.
yeah, I mean, it's
He
just
is
the
so
ultimate.
pissed
It's
off
the
about it.
it's the ultimate billionaire shiny toy is a sports franchise, especially now more than ever before, because the only thing that gets ratings is live sports. You know, you can watch anything else whenever you want, but you got to watch sports when they're happening. And so I think that, it's like, yeah, it's not about the money. It's about, who am I without this team? I'm cool to my nerdy billionaire friends because I'm this guy. And I mean, this is a long roundabout way of saying, if you're Pete Townsend or Roger Daltrey or Keith Richards, it's like, why would I ever stop doing this? What the hell would I do if I couldn't go play these gigs anymore? It's like, I mean, I'm 20, 25 years younger than all those guys. And I already know, I've already been through it enough where you're on the road and you can't wait to get home because it's exhausting. And then you get home and about a weekend, you're like, okay, when are we doing that again? And yeah, if you're at that level, like Keith has always said, like, why on God's green earth would anybody stop playing sold out stadiums? And it's not about the money, and it's not about he's beyond wealthy. He's one of the most famous people on the planet. It's not about that. It's just, what else is going to get him excited? It's like going to the moon, 2 nights a week.
So speaking of the Rolling Stones, are you following this Metropolitan Museum guitar thing?
I think it's insane.
It's a he said, she said right now, right? The Metropolitan Museum is saying, nope, you never owned that guitar.
That's crazy that you would think that Keith Richards and Mick Taylor don't know their own guitar. I mean, if you ask any baseball player, if you bumped into Barry Bonds tomorrow and said, "Hey, I saw you against the Rockies in 2004, and it was in Colorado. It was a Friday night, and in the 4th inning, he would cut you off and go, 'Yeah, I hit that slider through the gap.'" And I went, like baseball players remember every at bat, every mano a mano battle. It's crazy if you ever interview them. They all have that memory. A guitar player will know a guitar he previously owned in 1/2 of a second if he puts his hands on it. Usually, if he just looks at it. It's like Peter Frampton. He lost the Les Paul on the cover of Frampton Comes Alive for 30-something years. And he said, I picked that guitar up and I knew instantly it was the same guitar. Guitar players aren't crazy people. They know their instruments. And if Keith Richards is like, that's my guitar that was stolen in 1972, I'm willing to bet that is the guitar that was stolen in 1972. And the Met, of all people, it's like, be cool.
It's more insidious than that, though. The Met isn't saying it's not Keith Richards' guitar. They're saying it's not Mick Taylor's guitar. They're claiming that Keith Richards gave the guitar to a manager in 1970 something.
71 or 2.
Because, so they're saying that the manager got the guitar from Keith and owned it the whole time, that it was never at the recording studio in France to be stolen. And they're claiming that he had it and then he sold it like 20 or 35 years later, and that they've got provenance on it since that sale.
I wonder what the chances are that Keith Richards would ever bestow an instrument to a manager. I'd say they're very low.
Well, I don't know if did I say give? I don't know if they're saying they gave it to him. They're saying acquired. So in theory, I think they're trying to.
It's weird. You know what?
Some money for drugs. I don't know.
Yeah. At this stage of the game, I'd like, Keith says it's his. Let him decide. I don't know. Who's arguing? Why are you arguing with Keith Richards? Hasn't he done enough?
Keith hasn't even weighed in on it yet. As far as I know, it's just representatives for Mick Taylor. Am I saying that right? Mick Taylor. Representatives for Mick Taylor and the Metropolitan Museum. Like the collector that the Met who donated to the Met, he hasn't said anything. He's like some billionaire rich.
Got it. Well,
and So right now
Who
it's just
knows?
Mick Taylor's rep and the Metropolitan. And I'm like,
I guess.
can somebody just ask Keith?
Yeah.
I would
You
love
think
to get to the bottom of this.
we could figure this out pretty quick, I would think.
I think most people are not going to think like you do. They're going to think, oh, it's Keith Richards. You know, he's been in a fog of drugs for 75 years. So is he going to remember this guitar versus another guitar or what happened to it? But if what you say is more the case, then Keith probably should be able to say, oh, yeah.
And anybody, if anybody thinks he's in a fog, they need to go read his book. The reason that he's a genius and he's a brilliant, brilliant mind, and he can be in a fog because he's got the brain power to endure and work through that. He truly is he's an emotional intelligence human being genius person. I mean, he really is. He sees a lot. Nothing gets past him. He's a very, very deep cat. And just read his book, Life. It's incredible.
I'll put it on my next list. I can't believe I haven't done it yet.
It's awesome.
Because now my whole life is dissociating around books. It used to be dissociating around music, but I'm just like so deep into books right now.
Oh, Life is a fantastic read.